What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up and Chat. My name is BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Twitter, TikTok, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos, hit that notification bell, buy the subscribe button, get all updated content. Let's get it popping. All right, listen. We a day and a half, 2 days removed since KD got eliminated from the playoffs, right? And the Brooklyn Nets, I should say the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets got eliminated, got swept by the Boston Celtics, right? So they were a day removed from that. So with the dust settling under that, I chose to do this video today because yesterday I came across a topic discussion with a few people about this, and I feel like might as well put my 2 cents in as well. I mean, we a podcast just like everybody else, so why not us? My thoughts on the situation, on which side I'm on, and what I think of the situation on both sides, and why I think each side said what they said. We're going to get all into that. All right, listen. Situation goes like this. Kevin Durant and Charles Barkley. Kevin Durant, obviously, everybody knows who that is. You know what I'm saying? Superstar, top 25 player in my opinion. Current star in the NBA. And Charles Barkley, a former star, one of the top 50 greatest players in NBA history. He's on TNT, NBA TNT. He has a job at NBA TNT where he's an analyst, and basically they analyze the game. Him, Shaq, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson. I'm tripping. I'm sorry with the names, y'all. I'm just getting up, but KD and Charles Barkley have had a history of little going back and forth with each other, right? Kevin Durant, you already know how he is, man. Like, he's the type, anything somebody says to him, he's going to go back. That's what he's made, very known to people. Like, he's not going to accept the disrespect. He wants all the smoke, and, he's not going to just, take no disrespect from nobody. And Charles Barkley, y'all know how he is. He has no filter. He goes, says what he feels. He says, like, if he feels something on his mind and his heart, that's what he's going to say. That's who Charles Barkley is. So this is two people who are very, very opinionated. After the aftermath of the Nets losing in the playoffs to the Boston Celtics, Charles Barkley has some comments about Kevin Durant. Well, not saying his name specifically, but everybody knew what it was, put two and two together. Basically, the terms of the quote was basically Charles Barkley saying, it's a difference between driving the bus and being a bus rider. It's different when you have a team like Golden State, which Kevin Durant had, to now when you on Brooklyn, the man, where you're asked to do more responsibility. So that was a gist of his quote. Charles Barkley has been already documented. He does not like super teams. He He said that he didn't like what Brooklyn Nets did. He didn't want them to win the championship. He was very, very adamant about that when they put Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden on that one team. He didn't like it. He felt like, that was cheating the system. He wasn't rooting for the Brooklyn Nets. So Charles Barkley is a very old school, old mentality type of guy. So I get that. And I'll give Charles credit. He doesn't hide his feelings. He doesn't hide his emotions. You never have to wonder what side he's on. So I'd rather deal with a person like that than find out the person was one way and turned out to be somebody different. And Kevin Durant, being who he is, saw that quote after the aftermath, didn't even give it 24 hours to sit. He responded with a picture of Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler. And he also had another picture of Charles Barkley, Dr. J, and Moses Malone. 2 pictures side by side. Now, everybody knows what I'm talking about who's in basketball. Pay attention. Basically, he was saying, like, Charles Barkley has super teams just like he has super teams. So what's the issue? What's the problem? That's what Kevin Durant was pretty much getting at. So that pretty much what he put in his Instagram, his IG story. So Katie's looking at like, man, like you being a hypocrite. Like, what about you? You were on super teams just like I got on super teams. And then Charles Barkley responded last night by saying, yeah, but I didn't leave my team and like you left yours. You'll never know nothing about loyalty. So it's just a lot of back and forth. So I need to get my 2 cents and my analysis of what I feel about the situation. First of all, Charles is right in this sense that he didn't leave his team. KD left, OKC for Golden State, and he built another super team in Brooklyn. So it's a totally different thing from what Charles did when he got drafted to his teams. He got drafted to Philadelphia. He went to Houston when he was old. You know what I'm saying? Even though I will say this, they built that super team for a reason because Charles Barkley won the ring. And everybody was trying to find a way to get past Mike. So I do agree with KD on that. So that's what I will say about, but I'll also say this on Kevin Durant. I do not blame him for what he did. I don't blame him for leaving OKC. Because Golden State was the best situation for Kevin Durant because it brought him structure. Kevin Durant to me comes off as a guy who doesn't have such a very high IQ. He's very skilled and very talented, but his IQ grew when he went on Golden State. He needed to be coached hard. That's why I put in my other video, Kevin Durant does not need to be coddled. He does not need a Steve Nash for him. He's not good for him because Steve Nash is going to coddle Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant needs to be coached. Kevin Durant needs to be taught how to play the game of basketball as far as cutting, playing defense, and moving. Y'all remember on Golden State, that was the time when KD was playing defense. You ain't been seeing Kevin Durant playing defense on Brooklyn. Now, people may say it's because of his Achilles injury and all this. KD said it himself. It's been 2 years since that. 2-3 years. So he said he's pretty much, he's good. But it's the mindset that Golden State had when you go and play defense. Draymond Green put that in his head. You will play defense here. You will buy in. You will play team basketball. Those are things that Kevin Durant needs. And they won 2 championships in a row. They had the verge of winning the third one. KD got hurt. We'll never know what happens with that against Toronto. But aside from basketball, Golden State, what you're seeing now, they have a well-oiled machine. And Kevin Durant fitted perfectly in that system. But like people, they listen to other people and feel like, they let them get in their heads and they think that one situation they have to do over another. They keep listening to all these noises, and that's why I think Kevin Durant fell victim to. I think he listened to the outside noises too much, saying he needs to lead his own team and, you can't do it without Steph and they saved you and all this stuff. Look, I already brought this up yesterday on somebody's show yesterday. I said Golden State needed Kevin Durant just as much as Kevin Durant needed them. That was nothing but a business transaction. KD went to Golden State because he needed to have structure. That's what Golden State brought to Kevin Durant: structure, discipline, accountability, winning mentality. That's what Golden State brought to KD. But what KD brought to Golden State in return is those 2 championships. They don't win those 2 championships without Kevin Durant, period. And Charles Barkley needs to understand that. Charles Barkley looking like as Kevin Durant just another guy. Kevin Durant was the reason why people were going around mad that they had that Golden State team assembled. That was the addition to Kevin Durant being there. Because when Golden State lost in 2016 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, losing that 3-1 lead, that was a psychological, mental hurdle that Golden State I don't believe would have gotten over. Because they would have to face against that Cavs team the next year. And LeBron, they had nobody for LeBron James. And what they dealt with the year before in the finals, they needed to change. And that's what Draymond Green understood. That's what the Golden State Warriors understood. They needed somebody to nullify LeBron James. Kevin Durant being available, and from what I've reported, they've been thinking about it. They brought him in to nullify LeBron James. We don't bring KD on that team, you're not beating that Cleveland Cavs team. You're not beating that team. So people want to say Golden State help Kevin Durant, but also say that Kevin Durant helped that team. Give him credit as well. So that's what Charles Barkley needs to understand. But also, I think Charles Barkley is a little bit upset because back in his era, they weren't allowed the freedom to move around like they are now. It's just like the money. They weren't allowed to make the money that these guys are making now. So anytime you keep hearing one of these old heads talk about, what we did back in the day, we loved the game. What you mean is the conditions that y'all were in made y'all have to, work hard and do certain things that they don't have to do now because the guaranteed money that they get and the perks they get now, they're in a more better situation than what you were in. But if you had the opportunity, because the human minds work like this, when you have the opportunity to make and do what these players did now, I guarantee you a lot of those guys in the old days, in the 80s and 90s, and some even the early 2000s, will have a totally different approach. And as far as, playing in all these games and taking the power out of the owner's hands and putting it into their own. Like, who doesn't want power and control? So Charles Barkley is a little bit upset about that. And I've heard Charles Barkley in the past. He says some very, very insensitive, stupid things because he has no filter, like I said. And usually when you deal with a person with no filter, they say a lot of stupid, dumb things. This is the same guy that said the Portland Trailblazers were going to beat the LA Lakers in the bubble that one year. This is the same guy that keeps making off-the-wall predictions, which seem like it's just for television. Or maybe he really does mean it. He just likes to, rattle the cage. But Charles Barkley, in this case, I feel like was a cheap shot to Kevin Durant. Because you already know how to do this. You from what I've seen, they somewhat buried the hatchet not too long ago, where Kevin Durant and Charles Barkley were talking on the screen, face to face, like, they were laughing and joking. And here comes Charles Barkley with a cheap shot, knowing that dude already has had to deal with, the backlash of him being on Golden State, knowing that dude already had to deal with people already calling him not sure if he can lead a team to a championship. You just added fuel to the fire by saying what you said. You didn't have to go out there and tell him that. That was on you. That was your fault. And then I remember back in 2007 with that whole the Kobe Bryant thing with the Suns, when they tried to make it seem like Kobe Bryant just quit. Kobe Bryant confronted Charles. See, Kobe is different from KD. KD goes to social media. Kobe goes to the person who offended him himself. And Kobe Bryant went to Charles Barkley and said, pretty much what you did was, BS. You go on television, you say I'm selfish, but not understanding what I was trying to do, which was trying to implement the offense and try to, share the ball with my teammates. So Charles Barkley does a lot of things that are not very intelligent, just being honest. And but I think KD made the mistake of listening to too many people. He ran away from a good situation in Golden State. And this is why I love Kawhi Leonard so much, man, because I like how the man moves. The media is so crazy. They don't want you to be too, they call Kevin Durant soft because he cares about too much what everybody thinks. But a guy like Kawhi Leonard who doesn't really care what you think, they say, well, he's not a leader. He doesn't talk and all this. So you can't really win the minds of other people. You can't worry about what other people think about you. And Kawhi Leonard is that type of dude. That's why nothing that they can do can rattle this. It doesn't matter what you think, as long as his teammates, his family, and himself, he knows who he is. That's all that matters. And I think Kevin Durant really needs to start understanding, well, maybe he's at that point now where he's going to live life for himself. And I think he's taking that step towards that direction. Because like I said in one of my last videos, Kevin Durant doesn't want the title of being the best player in the NBA. He just wants to work on getting himself better and just perfecting his skills. And if that's the lane he wants to take, so be it. I prefer him to try to, go for that, because I think he has the ability to do it. But if that's what he is, that's what he is. Like, live for yourself. Because these other people ain't going to, live for you at the end of the day. So that's all my thoughts I got to say about that. You know what I'm saying? Continue to like my page, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull it out. Peace. Out here like swimwear.